there is a huge movement of the Sasquatch to, to reach out to humanity. So it sounds like you're one of the ones that are able to bring closer to home, if that's the way to say it. Yeah, well, I find that there's a lot of people that have a very active curiosity about Bigfoot, though maybe their belief systems are, still in the atheist flat, reality kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I feel like it still serves. It still has a role to play in the awakening of for me, the Sasquatch are coming out and they talk about waking up humanity, waking up little brother, so to
Yeah.
speak. And I feel like that's part of that, what you described.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like they kind of are in the background of my life, pulling a lot of strings and kind of getting me connected with different people like Laurel and Brian Bland and just all the through the podcast, all of these different amazing people that I've met and formed friendships with,
Mm.
talking about the Sasquatch people. And yeah, it's just totally changed my life, really. So I'm very grateful.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, they definitely played a role to actually for those two that you mentioned, Brian and Laurel, the Sasquatch brought them. They told me specifically, these people are coming into your life.
Oh,
I'm a
really?
hmm Actually, there are several people in the academy that were brought to me directly through the Sasquatch. They told me that this is this person, that person, this kind of thing. Because
Okay.
there's a mission. And when you get deep into the interdimensional woo of Sasquatch,
Mm,
what gets fleshed out is that there is a very significant mission to wake
mhm.
up humanity, and
Yeah.
and that aligns with a lot of things that was part of my training when I was younger too. So yeah,
Awesome.
it is.
I it's so great that you're kind of in the Sasquatch fold because I um initially reached out to you because Laurel told me you study a lot of what is it, like dream interpretation and how to work with your dreams and how to understand your dreams more. And I have always been a very strong dreamer. I've had a lot of like prophetic dreams, and like my wife before I met her, I had a dream about her and had a dream about my grandfather when he passed. He came to me, and so that's what I thought we were going to be talking about. But I'm really excited that you're into the Sasquatch communication because last week I had a very vivid dream that I was with an all white Sasquatch. And he was telling me all sorts of stuff, but I
Oh,
don't remember what it
you
was.
don't
I don't.
that's interesting because we were just talking to a very large white Sasquatch up in British Columbia last week.
No way.
Yeah, actually, Brian's we'll say kin tribe in British Columbia. His Ari is the name that Brian has given him, and yeah, I had a lot of things to say. Very interesting. Actually, I've been meaning to reach out to Brian and talk with him about it, because I know he has a very special place in his heart for the tribe, and he's moved away, so he doesn't get to. Well, no, that's not true. He doesn't get to connect, but it's just a different
Hmm.
dynamic when you're not from when you're in a different land and you're getting. So there's tribes. Actually, can I go on a tangent for a second? Because I want to touch on the dream.
Absolutely. Go on as many tangents as you want.
So, the tribes are very, though they can connect with you from anywhere, any place, they are very specific to energy signatures of the land, of vortexes and stuff like this. So the tribes of, let's say in Canada, British Columbia, they are they're local there. Not that they can't reach you in other places, but if to actually come into their territory, it's their territory because on a telluric elemental level, that's the frequency match. They're there. And
Mm.
humans, especially us Westerners, we're all transplants, and we've lost that long relationship with the land and the mounds, the mountains, this kind of thing. So we have a little bit of a disconnect around that. But this is part of what the Sasquatch want to train us into doing, and it's about training. It is reconnecting with the lands in a very deep way, so we can reclaim our role as caretakers of this reality. And this directly goes into the dream work, because the dream realm, everything that we see here starts in the dream realm and comes into manifestation, if that's the correct word to use, in what we call 3D.
Hmm.
So they overlap. They're and very closely woven together, training with Sasquatch and working with dreams. And of course, there's other beings that participate too, like even the tree spirits, ancient tree spirits. You know, ones that we've had a kind of tree that giant trees in this realm long ago that don't exist anymore, but they're the consciousness. They're still part of the grid, so we can still access the records. I mean, it's a whole rabbit hole of a different way of working, a different way of thinking about reality, a different way of engaging. We just did a intensive. Actually, that's what we were doing last week, an intensive in the forest, communicating, working with the forest beings. So this includes Sasquatch, but not limited to. And you know, the profundity that happens when you're working with that, it really changes us, and we realize just how far away from the truth of who we are, the collective lives. And when you spend
Yeah.
this time in the forest and like bonding with fire and just boiling things down to the simplicity of living and connection and interconnectedness, it's like the doors open and the miracles unfold, and that which seems impossible all of a sudden becomes possible. And
Mm.
I have to say, the Sasquatch of that region specifically have given me some of the most profound advice to this day, and even down to like so there was a time, one of the first, maybe second times that I was in contact with them. They it was rather scary because they gave me a warning, you know, really like be careful, dot 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 dot. And I was like, what? It's like this is unusual to the usual, you know, the usual communication is very heart opening and centering and this kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it was like high alert, high alert. I was like, ah. So fast forward several weeks, they met me again, but I was up in Glacier National Park, and I was taking some people to make contact, and they showed up and with mind speak and everything else. But that was the exact moment, and that was the exact group of people that they were warning me about. So, and of course, I found that out later. But it was really interesting that how just how clean and clear and accurate it is when you're open for it, even when you don't want to
Mm.
hear it. You know, it's still things that land. So dreamer. So you're a dreamer. I mean, we can talk about dreams if you'd like, if that's something that really lands for you. I
I
have
mean, I'm really liking the tone of the conversation right now. I think let's just go with it,
Okay. Yeah,
you know?
sure. Let's just go
Yeah.
with it. So,
Right.
so waking up humanity has four pillars. I've boiled it down to the training with Sasquatch. And first is you need to understand that we are interconnected with all of reality, all of nature, and there's a lot of unseen realms, which means we have a lot of built-in blind spots. And
Yeah.
and so we need to learn how to get past that, which is working with nature, elementals, all this stuff. And then we need to remember or have a cosmic memory, remembering that the cosmos is within us, the planets, the sun, all these celestial beings are actually, that energy is within us, that consciousness is part of our template. And then the third one is healing with ancestors. Because
Mm.
we all carry the unresolved energy from previous ancestors. So whatever
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
resolved, yes, you know, that's when we get to play it out. If we don't heal it, then
Mhm.
we just play it out like it's our lives. And once you unravel the ancestor stuff, you start to have your biosuit in your life more for your soul purpose versus resolving what hasn't been resolved. And then the last pillar of that is the dream work. So those four things together is the recipe of how to wake up a multidimensional human.
Wow.
So
Sounds familiar. Kinda sounds like my life right now. I feel like I'm working with all 4 pillars, but the
yeah,
least consciously is with the dream world because,
why do you say that?
um, I feel like I'm just starting to kind of dive in a little bit deeper into the symbolism, and for a long time, I feel like I just went on autopilot, and I was like, "Oh, I had another work dream again," or, "Oh, I had another dream where all my teeth fell out. No big deal, whatever. Just carry on." But it's like, no, these are these are very basic, messages for you to decode, and so I feel like I'm kind of just now starting to, um, uh, decode my own dream language, I think.
Very, very intuitive. Yes, that's a very accurate thing to do because it is truly another language that's unique to you, right?
Mm,
Yeah. So it's great. You're already starting these pieces, and I mean you're only a few years in, what, 5 years in. So this is
mm,
amazing. You're very
yeah.
strong intuition. Oh, willingness. You have a willingness to follow it. That's great. Um, so with dreams, in the beginning, it might feel very intriguing, interesting to do an interpretation. But the real transformative power of the dream is learning how to track dreams. And what I mean by
Mm,
that, think about a hunter in the woods. say you don't get the shot doesn't really get the animal in the heart, and you know what I mean. You have to follow the breadcrumbs through the woods to find the animal. It takes a
Mm,
lot of focus and intention to follow that energy. Because a lot of times it's intuition, it's instinct. It's not even blood trail or anything, or broken branches or whatever. It's like your instincts are taking you to where it is you have an intention of going. And when we treat our dreams like this, we can pull realities from our higher levels into this reality. And that really lands and becomes applicable when we understand how hijacked our reality is, and we're living ways that are so against our true nature. So when we look at the beast of the machine of all that, it feels very helpless and power. Like what can we do? With war and politics, the horrors of
yeah.
this world, we're powerless on this level to look at it, to deal with it. But in the dream realm, once we get past the human layers of the dream realm, we are masters of that reality, and we have a whole legion of beings assisting us in waking up and pulling let's say, the light code of certain realities through. So the more we do that individually and collectively, that is how we reclaim this reality. And the example, I have a few examples. I'm trying to decide which one is best to. So have you ever had, like, thought of somebody and they called you, or
Mhm,
wanted something and then it just dropped in your lap, that kind of stuff?
mm,
So
mhm.
that's us engaging in the unseen realm. We don't know it, but that's us. That's very natural, right? You don't even try. It's like breathing.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
and that's truly how it is for us even now in our blindness. It's just that, we have all this mental frame up of what that's telling us what's going on. So something the Sasquatch do that's fascinating, is that they transcend time and space. So they can give you a message or a glyph or something, say in spring of one year, and then fast forward 2 years in the fall or something, you can see a message or a sprig or something, and that's connected. You absolutely
Yeah.
know that's connected. And not only that, there's times when they can take something you've gifted them and give it back to you in a totally different form, somewhere else, and it's like it's as if it's never aged. Like, say if it's a piece of apple or something, which the most depending on I don't need to get into that, but it can present the
I have an
apple.
idea what you mean.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But they can present that same slice of apple to you 3 years later, and it's pristine, and you're like, "Okay, I recognize that, and how is this possible?" Right?
Right.
When you're working with the unseen realms, it's just a matter of ploop, it's instantaneous. We
Mhm.
naturally engage in that, but we're trained to think that we're not, and actually, we're actually trained to fear that because
Yep.
of the past traumas of our ancestry and other
I
things.
was just yeah, not to interrupt, but I just was going to mention that another way that we are able to reshape, you know, all this stuff in the exterior that seems so mind-bogglingly overwhelming is through the inner work, is through the ancestral work. It's through like the body work. And
Mhm.
I don't even want to call it work at this point. It's just it's looking at your shadow, looking at your reflections with loving presence and non-judgment, and in that way you can alchemize this stuff. And after a while, when you've done enough kind of inner reflection and alchemizing, your outer world really does change. So I think it's all hand in hand, like all the
Yes.
pillars. Yeah.
Yes, yes, the inner work. That's where a lot of people need to make that connection, because once they do, you are not going to neglect your inner work anymore. You know, you mentioned something. I was listening to an interview you did with Michael Bodowitz. Sweet,
Oh
sweet.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
sweet.
a great guy.
Oh yeah, we've met a few times up in Chihuahua. Very, very sincere. Anyway, really wonderful connection. But you said
Yeah.
something in there about and I wasn't sure if it was at night that you indicated, but about how you were having high level conversations where you were being taught about emotions and other kinds of things being stuck in the tissues and joints and this kind
Yep.
of thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, it's like, wow, that's really awesome that you're having that level of conversation, because this is exactly a part of that work. Everything that's unresolved comes up in our aches and pains and all, this kind of thing. And to wake up to realize, oh yeah, that there's a connection there. It's like there's a level of, I'm gonna say, freedom and liberation that happens with that. Because now you have another choice other than the program. The program tells
Yeah.
you, PT, doctor, meds, whatever, but you're given like this golden key to the to the real magic of self healing and
Yeah.
realization. So I love that part of the interview. I was like, oh. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I have had some amazing conversations with, the group that I work with out here. Um, a Also, another realization that I had recently with my mentor, her name's Aisha Love, and she is a her business is called Multidimensional You, and she's the one who actually kind of got me in touch with the Sasquatch people in the first place. But, we've been doing a lot of body consciousness work lately on a level that I have never experienced before, and I'm having these conversations with my body. Like, I'll go in and I'll be like, "Body, what's going on?" And I don't feel like I'm particularly, uh, like a medium or anything like that, but that's kinda what it feels like. It feels like you're a medium for your own body because there is a separate consciousness that the body projects from all of these aches and pains and fear, and, you get a flutter in your chest, and so I'll be like, "What's going on?" And I'll sit there and breathe for a while and just let the body talk to me, and after a while, a memory will come up or an emotion, or I'll just start yawning so much, and it's
Mm,
like, that's what it is, and so I have learned recently to, these aches and pains and like these patterns that I'm seeing within myself, if I take it personally and I'm like, "Oh, this is all my junk. This is all my stuff. Oh, there's something wrong with me." Then I find it a lot more resistance, and I find myself kind of digging in or just like, kind of spiraling out into like, "Oh, there's something wrong with me." But if I can kind of put it more into perspective of like, this is what the ancestral body took on, and this
mhm,
is kind of like my fun project to alchemize and to learn more about, then I feel like it takes a lot of pressure off for me.
mm. That I love that your mentor is using the word multidimensional human because this is very consistent with what the Sasquatch have done with others. So I like when
Yeah.
I see patterns and consistency because it's even though I've been doing this for so long, it's still helpful to have that kind of validation. It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay, someone else is in
Yes.
there too with me, or us, or and I won't ask how old you are in this publicly in podcast. I don't
Oh,
know how to
I'm
say it, but
48.
oh, okay, so you're at that age then. So what happens is that, according to the ancient Tao, which I have a lot of memories of since the Fae Realm, the Sasquatch have opened up my memories. Um, According to them, with a devout, focused practice, it takes 40 years of diligent work to release the ancestral patterning, to release yourself enough where you can live your true purpose for being incarnated, like
Mm,
your own soul's agenda. So this just tracks with the kind of patterning what you're talking about. It takes a long time to. There's so much. There's so much, and if nowadays there's a way to accelerate that, but it still requires a deep level of maturity and compassion, forgiveness, and this is what I hear when you're saying is like that is that whatever that paradigm shift was inside of you. It's like now you carry that, and that's
mm,
how with the self healing journey. And, truly, humans are very sensitive creatures, truly. It's when we are, burdened with a trauma, drama, survival, endless survival, then we start seeing the lower side of that expression.
yeah.
Um, the Sasquatch, they're in a league with other beings too. Can we talk about some of the inner earth? Bring some of that
Oh,
in
I'd love to. Yes. Yeah.
because there are many, many beings that work with this in conjunction with the Sasquatch to wake up humanity. So there's beings, the ant people that
Mhm.
used to come in really strong. I hear from them once in a while now, but not as often as. But I think it was because they were opening me up to the idea. When something's new, it's like I need some time to digest and process. So what happens is that more and more of these beings are coming forward to humanity because there's some kind of event we're being prepared for some kind of event where I think what's going to happen is that the veils are just going to be completely gone and we're going to be aware of these beings. And it's better that we are aware gradually now versus shocked and, want to make war because that's what the default broken human does is when they're afraid of
Yeah.
something, right? So, I mean, that's my sense of it is to have a peaceful awakening too, so we can reintegrate again, unite the realms. Um, and technology is a major part of this journey with these inner earth beings because they have technologies, very advanced technologies. Not that they're a technological, we'll say, or life is the number one value. It's like whatever feeds the harmony of life. That's like a number one value in collectively with these beings, and
Mm,
and humans need to wake up to this. And this is part of why it's so important, this healing, because when we're really connected with our bodies, we're connected with the telluric realm, which means we can connect with these beings much more easily because we're not, experiencing the static or
Yeah.
even the suppressed anger and all that stuff. So there are entry points where they're preparing people, groups of people to approach. There are some indigenous tribes that have a peaceful connection and are enlisted in this measure,
Mm.
from what I know. But it's tricky. It's tricky. I feel like the realm of Dreamtime is the big piece for most of us because when we work with the under inner earth beings, they're keepers of a certain kind of intelligence. We humans are the keepers of this reality that's on the what we call the 3D plane. We, there's a lineage of indigenous call it the realm of the mother, the Pachamama, and that's that part that really resonates for me. So I call this realm Pachamama, the realm of the mother, and because that just resonates as such a deep truth. And I prefer to communicate that way, right? Whatever really resonates deeply for me, those are the strange words I'll end up using.
Mhm.
So if I say anything kind of odd and you want me to clarify, let me know. Anyway, so we are the keepers of this realm, and we've given the authority away. And in the dream work, we can reclaim that authority. We collectively dream in light body, and what we found is that there's very significant aspects of the human collective's dream time has been invaded.
Mm.
So we have conflict here in the Pachamama realm reality, and there's conflict going on in the dream realm too, and that
Yeah.
keeps that person defunct. Once you have no peace, you're not going to experience peace, right? You need to have
Yeah.
peace in order to recognize and experience peace. For me, it's really, really important to keep the conversation going in general with humans about the dream work, because this is once we reclaim this, then we can truly reclaim the peace to be here in this reality. It's just what we're taught how reality is backwards. Nothing is just a dream. That
Right.
dream that you talked about with the spitting the teeth, that's actually a really deep subconscious message coming through, you know?
Mm.
And I mean I can tell you what I hear in that if it's helpful for
Oh,
you.
go ahead.
So you've been given some very valuable some gifts, some very significant gifts that you don't know how to value yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the message.
Exactly.
So in the dream though, here's the funny thing about this dream is that you were re-given the transmissions of those gifts in that dream. That's what triggered
Mm.
the imagery from your subconscious, you
Oh,
see?
that's so interesting.
And that's why we track dreams because we can go past what the subconscious did, right? Feel it, have it, whatever is unresolved, make it have a come full circle, and then make contact with the transmissions. And
Mm.
so it clears the way for the transmission, and it also is shared with everybody else in the group dream. So transmissions
Interesting.
are really special ways to heal because we have this inner garden, and it could be arid, it could be rich, it could be jungle like. And each lineage of the inner earth and stars have these flavors of transmissions. And our inner world either nurtures those transmissions like they're a seed, or if our inner world is not a nurturing place for those transmissions, they'll come in and bring a healing.
Mm.
So slowly work your garden in the direction till eventually it can be planted as a seed. Because the whole idea is once you integrate it is for you to share, make beauty with what's inside. Share the beautifulness of the being fairly known as Gina. you know,
Yeah. Right.
and it's an integrity and it's authentic. It's not a concept that you took on and conveyed it. It's like, no, it's something from deep within your whole being that you bring forward. And that is an alchemical share that you're doing at that point.
Exactly. I feel like all of these conversations are transmissions as well.
They can be,
Just
yeah.
the natural, back and forth between us. People watch the videos and they definitely get something, other than just a regular old conversation out of it. But you reminded me of a dream that I had. Oh, I want to say maybe 2 years ago when you were talking about the inner Earth um, beings who live there. I had a dream where I went down into Middle Earth, and it was kind of like a forest sort of area, and I was walking around, and I ran into these little guys who were, like, blue, and they were very squat, and they almost looked like little thumbs running around. Uh, it was they look like little trolls almost, but I knew them in the dream. They were, like, really old friends, and I, like, picked them up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy I'm back." And I
Mhm.
gave them a big hug, but they were, like, dark blue and, like, kind of square, and it was yeah, I was just wondering if you have any information about those guys. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Oh, okay.
the dream realm is my is my that's my cup of tea. So that night, did you go to bed with an intention at all? Do you remember?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so that means it was likely time for that to happen. So when we are able to get past the human realm in our dreams, which requires having peace and contentment inside. If we don't have peace and contentment inside, our dreamscape is us working out the unresolved emotions and energies, right? And this is why a lot of times people will realize that they picked up an entity or something. It will be from a dream because that will be
Mm,
really dominant. So when you're at peace inside and you go into the dream realm and your energy is consolidated enough, you'll travel and you'll travel to beings that have called you, that want to reconnect. You'll travel to places that your soul really wants to bring a memory back or get a transmission from for you, for the conscious part of your life. It's really endless the what pulls us into these different travels, but it's very easy to travel in the dream realm. So it feels like when you talk about these beings, I kind of get this tingly, uplifting kind of feeling when you speak about them.
mhm.
I suspect that how you were seeing them was part of the limits of the subconscious, what can allow. I have a feeling that they look a bit different than how they appeared, but the
Mm,
the the energy behind it is, we're so glad to see you. We're so,
yeah,
you know what I mean. To reconnect is something that is a very special moment. See, what we don't realize is that we are actually the commanders within the telluric realm, and I know that sounds a bit of like, tyrannical, but it's not like that. It's more of we have command of the sounds, the music of the spheres. We have command of all these things when we're aligned with our soul. So quite literally, we can sing things into being when we're fully activated. And of course, there's stories that tell us these kinds of things too, to reinforce. Like the building of, I have a memory of I do need to mention this. I have a memory. I wasn't human though at the time. A very clear memory. I was somewhere in what we would call Mesoamerica, and I had an instrument and I was singing something. I was some kind of sacred language, and giant stones were
mm,
coming together,
yeah,
and we built a pyramid. What we call
mhm.
it, like a step pyramid, and this was specifically a pyramid for holding the field for advanced souls to be able to incarnate into this reality. So it had a very
Wow.
specific purpose. So these kinds of things were so and still can be. It's just, and this is what we're waking up back into. And so this dream that you're talking about, it's to get that memory triggered in your DNA. See, once we see something that totally takes us out of the realm of reality, but we know it really is so, it triggers memories, cellular memories. It triggers new DNA dances of possibility. And that's really why we're blind, is the DNA dance is hindered so heavily, right? So
Yeah.
as that opens up and it gets activated, we become more aware, blind spots lead, and our consciousness begins to expand. And that's yeah, that's how it works in the short story form of it.
Awesome. I didn't know that Ari was white. I had no idea he was a white Sasquatch. Um, I did an interview with Brian, and afterwards he encouraged me to connect with Ari, and so I did. I was doing it basically as I was going to sleep, and I had my eyes closed, and I felt his energy come in. It was super strong, and then I just saw this like super bright blue light kind of form in my third eye, and then I passed out. And then I woke up in the morning and I was like, I just, you have that feeling that like, oh my gosh, I was doing some high level work up there I don't know what it was, but it was like, I saw all these grids and like sacred geometry in my eye, like with your eyes open, you're just like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And, yeah, so I have connected with Ari and done some work with him before, but I didn't know he was white. So I wonder if that was him that I had the dream about the other night.
Well, that's why I inquired because it seemed like he's awfully busy these days. Probably. Um, yeah, grid work is part of our way to serve, you know? So
Mm,
it makes complete sense that that would be included in the context of the communication in the dream. Ari actually spoke about that last week at our camp out. Um, you know, see, this is the thing. We're multidimensional, and it's hidden in plain sight. If you listen to the science that's, that's waking up, it tells us this in plain English. Except the programming society has, it just there's no room for that. There's no room
Mm,
to recognize that. And as soon as you start operating according to that kind of science, you're called woo. you know, and people who are respectable intellectuals want to distance themselves from that. And it's like, but wait a minute, what happened to the quantum science that is true? That so there's so I feel like that's a result of tainted, captured grid work.
mm,
Because when you're around a group of people who are, secure in themselves and intellectually adept and also intuitively adept, you can have a field where all this can exist very easily and simply. And if
right.
anything, there's more levity to be shared. And that's because we have that grid. There's a grid that happens with that. So as each of us anchor these things, you, me, and all the other wonderful people that you bring on to, in your community and you bring onto your podcast, we are all anchoring in a different kind of grid system in the collective. And the more we share and do these things and live true to ourselves, that's a big key. You have to live true to yourself. Then it's anchored, and we can, the inertia of that can override this other grid that tells us if you talk to Sasquatch or CETs, you're a nutcase. Because that's, I mean, oversimplification, but it's pretty much like that.
Yeah,
Even even though it's pretty clear that there's a lot more going on in our history than what we're told. I mean, it
absolutely.
really cracks me up. Yeah, it really cracks me up when people,
The
are
mental
thinking.
gymnastics that people do, like, how were the pyramids formed? Oh, it must have been, it's like these blocks are 30, 100 tons. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
come on. It's
And the
people will,
radioactive, and they have crystal matrices inside of them, all perfect blocks to be moved via sound and vibration, right?
yeah.
If they didn't have those components, they wouldn't be as movable. And
And we
you
know that we can do this,
yes,
like you just get the vibration plate and you put some sand on it, and all of these complex patterns will emerge with different frequencies. We know we can move matter with sound, but it
yes.
just,
Well,
yeah.
there are indigenous cultures that do that today, and Tibet is a good example. They have these giant, I can't remember the name of them, these giant horns, and
Mm,
when you combine that with prayer and intention, they can move boulders or make boulders malleable where you can leave a footprint in them. So I mean,
yeah.
they do this. Except it's not convenient for everybody to know that, so we don't know that. Everything is controlled narrative. This is something I would really love people to understand. Everything is controlled narrative, especially alternative news. And people might
Hmm.
buck at that, but it's true. And there was a point that you also made in that interview I thought was a really great point, was on the concept of ancient aliens, right? These aliens came in and did all this, and then they left, right? It's like it's like, no, consciousness on this planet, all of us did this together. It was you know what I mean? It was a multi species society, and we had
Yeah.
a very advanced practice. And we know that these advanced societies existed. It's not just in our myths of Atlantis, but there's also evidence left behind, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Angkor is a great example where you have this amazing complex carved out of a mountain. It's all one piece. So it's huge. It's made for
Yeah.
giants. I wonder why.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like this idea that, oh, us lowly little humans had to give all of our power away to the ancient alien gods who came down, and like, oh, that is false narrative right there. That is the narrative that we are helpless, we are powerless. We have to give our power over to a higher dimensional being or something, and they'll take care of it for us.
Yeah.
No, we're powerful beyond measure. Like, we used to be able to do this. And also, there are so many ancient sites where if the archaeology digs down to the original site, it's like the framework is so high quality, and it's just like spooky how amazing the quality is of the stones and the cosmic placements, like for all of the stars and the convergence and everything. And with time, other temples were built on top, and the groups that built on top, the quality gets lower and lower, like, it gets degraded. Like, our
Yeah.
knowledge just kind of fades away, and so we just keep building on top, but it's not it's not the same.
Well, it's true the knowledge gets degraded. I mean, people might refer to the Vatican Library or the Library of Alexandria as knowledge being lost, but really it's talking about our access to cosmic knowledge, to the true records of life, which means our own cellular memory, which we're so, inundated with, trauma and poisons and stuff like this. It's like other things have precedent and we have difficult time accessing that cellular
Mm,
memory. This is also something that the Sasquatch and Fae Realm is helping us retrieve. People might call it past life memories, but I feel like it's more about a river of life force that we're a part of, those kinds of memories.
mm,
So for me, what would start to happen is in dream time, I would meet a being. Later I find out they're human, of course, but they were being they're transmitting and working with me, an immortal master, if you will. And then as I integrated and embodied these things, these memories, these things that they were teaching me, I would meet them in person. And what they were
mm,
doing was showing me, over and over again, as I was ready, I could meet this energy, and then we can close the gap of separation. So that's what they were doing, closing that gap of separation over and over again. And this is why I can tell you with absolute certainty things are in the dream realm before they're here. It's not a theory, it's not a belief. I know with absolute certainty that is how it is, and that's how it's even. That's just how it's been practiced for many tens of thousands of years. So, this there's a concept called the Pachacuti, which is a Quechua term. So the Quechua, the Quero, this is a tribe of 13 villages way, way high in the Andean mountains between Peru and Bolivia. They don't really, I mean, there's a country border there, but they don't consider themselves separate. They're an indigenous tribe, and they are the last remaining descendants of the Inca people. And they talk about the great Pachacutis of this world. And what this means is that every 500 years or so, the world gets turned upside down. Like what made sense and was harmonic order in one version, then it gets turned upside down and it's total chaos. It's kind of like those
mm.
dolls. I don't know if you've ever seen those dresses where when they're one way they're white and beautiful, and the other way
Oh,
they're like
yeah.
demonic. Yeah. So and how they explain it is that the value, the true value of life and the truth of who we are becomes hidden and underground. And it's the imposters, the ones that have a value system of power over dynamics and abuse, become the ones in charge. The ignorant ones become the one in charge and create the systems. That's the result of the Pachacuti. But they say it shifts every 500 years or so. And right now, what we are in is the time of the next Pachacuti, where all of the rulers of ignorance, so to speak, that are up here, and all of the wisdom keepers, the ones of cellular knowledge, the ones of interconnectedness, that kind of thing, this is happening. And I love this story, this narrative, because it shows us that this is just a natural rhythm of life, how we go in and out of these phases. And it's not anyone's fault. It's simply the rhythm of life of how we've chosen to explore and have experiences. And it also helps us transcend the concept and experience of good and evil, which is a major blind spot in the polarity field. Because once yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you,
Yes.
right? I saw good, evil, right, wrong, black, white, male, female. It's like, as soon as you're convinced about one being absolutely so, you're in prison now. There's no way out
Hmm.
of that. In the end, there's going to be your pride is going to fight to keep that true, right?
Yeah.
Versus when you can have two opposing things be true at the same time, now you're liberated. There's nothing to defend. There's nothing to fight for. There's nothing to kill for. You see, so it's like this liberation process is quite interesting because it shows us how powerful our stories are, how powerful our thoughts are, and the way we
Yeah.
perceive things. And to think that we can wake up as a planet in a very short amount of time with just a small group of people, let's say like less than 20% of the population. I mean, that's amazing to consider that.
I was wondering, I'm curious about tulpas and thought forms, and I'm wondering if you have any information, wisdom to share about that. Tulpas, thought forms, beings that are created through, collective
Oh,
thought.
yes. Okay. Okay. I've never heard the term tulpa before. Yes. Highly charged thought form, chaos magic. Yes. Yes. I get what you mean. Is there a particular thing around that you want me to touch on?
I just find it fascinating that we are able to create these non-conscious beings that can be protectors initially. Like when we're children, we kind of subconsciously create these protectors that
Mhm.
can become a real hindrance later in life, like patterns, like actual PK manifestations, like people could have chairs flying at them in the air and think that their house is super haunted, but it's actually these thought forms that are trying to protect them.
Yeah, these highly charged thought forms. Okay. Wow, this is a very interesting topic to go into. So, well, first let's go with I'm gonna have to it's gonna take a minute to build it a little bit. So first thing
Okay.
is we have this idea about places being haunted. And a lot of times it's maybe not a soul, but it's the like you've heard this before, a recording of something that that soul did over and over again in their lives. So there's like this residue energy signature that's just kind of going over and over again. So it's not the soul consciousness, but it's the thought, emotions, habit of that being that they had during that life. So that's an example of how our field can be ingrained with repeated, this is the key, repeated thoughts and emotions and focus. Okay. And that can last for hundreds and hundreds of years. Just go do a ghost tour in Portland. There's lots of that, right?
Mhm. Here
Okay.
too.
What's that?
Here too.
Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah.
so much limestone and quartz and water and major ley lines. There's many, many haunted places here.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to add the
Haunted.
complexity of the participation of water and stone, yes, that's definitely in there. So the next thing is there is alright, so there's a concept called chaos magic, and this is a more modern kind of term, maybe a more witchy term. I think it's something that came out of a practitioner from the Gardnerian tradition or whatever. So has roots in England, and this is where you create a highly charged thought form through ceremonial means, and it's not just one ceremony. It's something that you do over and over and over again, and then you reinforce the intent, you reinforce the emotions, and all this stuff, and then you'll create a thought form that kind of has a life of its own, and it doesn't have a life of its own in the sense of it's got its own consciousness. What it is that collection of thoughts, feelings, and emotions constantly seeking relationship to the energies in the collective field. Okay, so this is something that's been documented, well, many times over. But when you start getting into really powerful protectors, this is a deep initiation into the mysteries, the great mysteries. And the story I have for this, and I'm going to mention it because it's you can also look it up in a book called The Magical Use of Thought Forms. This goes along
Mhm.
with the question that you have. It's an excellent book, very very well written. Maybe it was published probably about 30 years ago, but I think you can still find it. And there's a story in there about a Zen practitioner seeking out a master that he knew about in the mountains. And uh, in the Eastern traditions, when you seek out high level gurus like that, you have to really want it. I mean, they put you through trial and tribulation. You really have to want it. And they weed out anybody who's not completely dedicated to what it is that they're asking for. And most of the time, they say no. Well, this particular Zen practitioner was completely committed, and he found the hidden master. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. He found the hidden master in a cave in the mountains. Was like, bow and all this stuff. It's like, I honor you. I wish to learn from you. Blah blah blah. And the master said, "Well, no, go away." you know and through consistency, the student decided to camp nearby and visit this guy, every day. How about now, this kind of thing. And finally the master got sick of him approaching, and he says, okay, this is your mission. This is what you're going to do. You are going to meditate on this deity. Starts with the T. It's Tezen something. And you're going to bring this deity into form. Once you bring it into form, then come and see me. Okay. So he took the task, he found his own dwelling in solitude, and it took years, but he did finally manifest this deity. Like it was like a visible presence over his shoulder. And he found this deity had so much deep wisdom and all this stuff. So he got excited once it took form. He went and ran to the master, who was shocked to see that. And he says, okay, well, you have your teacher now. So, ah, you know, and so he studied with this being for years. And then one day, upon a dream, he woke up and he realized this creation is just my subconscious looking back at me. It's actually not anything that has a consciousness that can truly wake me up. And then that's when it disappeared. And he went to the master. He says, hey, told him what he realized. And the master was like, okay, I will teach you.
Now you're ready.
Now you're
Yeah.
ready. So
Wow.
yeah, it's so these things, there's a lot of pitfalls on the path of awakening, a lot of things to seduce you, you know? I would say that when you're working with beings in the unseen realm, if they are not encouraging you or asking you about who you are and what's inside of you, you know, don't engage. If they're promising you this power and that, and you're the one this, it's like those are the ones you want to stay away from because they
Mm,
want something from you. And that's why they're willing to
yeah.
bargain those sorts of things. But the ones that want you to really wake up to who you actually are, those are the ones that are real.
Mm, interesting. Uh, in the past few years, I've read some material from, I don't know if you know who Ashayana Dean is with
Yes, I do.
the Voyagers, but woof, yeah, that's some heady reading for sure. But yeah, she says, or there's a lot written in her material where channelers, most channelers are co-opted at some level. And I mean, I channel myself. That's the only one I'll talk to at this point is my higher self. So what do you yeah, I want to ask you, what do you feel about channeled material? Like reading books that are channeled by like say the Raw Collective or something like that.
You're gonna make me very unpopular. Thank you.
Oh no, this is a channel to challenge people.
Yes. Well, so that's my energy signature. And I don't try to do this, but whenever I go into any collective, any group, whatever is out of alignment and integrity ends up getting flushed out. It's like instantly. And I used to feel cursed by this, but now I'm relieved because of whoever's sticking around after a few hours, they have they have integrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, to answer this excellent question that you're going on, so I am familiar with Ashiana Dean, and then she has a predecessor named oh gosh, now I can't remember her name. She's wow, her name just left. I don't know, maybe those two energies are together. Oh, sorry, Lisa Renee. That's who continued the
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm
okay.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they two work together. The energies work together, but Ashiana is very specific in a I want to say that, she's doubling down 100% on what she feels like is right. You know, um, Ashiana or Lisa Renee, I do highly respect that work, but I also feel like there's an undertone of victimness in there. There's an undertone of
Oh.
something. So circling back around to channel material. So here's the deal, and this is something that was shown to me a long time ago, and it took me a minute to accept it, but now I get it. So everything, all intuitive engagement, without exception, is received through a filter. If we can accept that, then we can gauge our internal compass, we can calibrate it, if you will, to listen for the truth. And that means no matter how much a transmission is filtered, if there's truth in it, real truth in it, you'll feel it. And that will be the
Mm,
part that jumps out at you. Okay. So with that caveat of it's up to you to hear the truth, I would also concur with that statement that Ashiana has made is that most channelers, most channel material is significantly altered by the filters. So it's not about the channeler not being pure or sincere or anything like that. These are filters that are put in place on a multidimensional level, generational, cultural. There's also DNA origin levels, like there's soul groups even that have under contract aren't able to pull through real truth, stuff like this. So there's a lot of
mm,
layers that participate in this filter. And some people might receive that as discouraging, but for me, and this is what we teach in LightBody, it's like cultivate that truth compass. So no matter where it's coming from, you'll trust it when you hear the truth. Like you'll know it. And
yeah.
and and that liberates us from having to go through that process of, oh, is this person pure? Is the entity real? You know what I mean? Because there's no
Yeah.
true answers to those questions, right? So
Right.
yeah, but you
Yeah.
know what you
Thank
feel.
you.
You know what's in your gut.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a squishy, icky sort of feeling from anything, trust your gut. I just I haven't been on this ascension, like awakening process for super long. I think consciously maybe since 2019. But during kind of those years where everybody was indoors a lot and watching a lot of YouTube and whatnot, that was when I started having these different experiences, like seeing light, ships, and orbs in my backyard and getting, transmissions from different beings and stuff. And so I didn't really understand what was happening at all. And so what did I do? I went to YouTube and man, wow, that is a minefield for discernment for
Mm,
sure. I feel like I spent a good a good couple years listening to people and kind of giving my power away to some extent to these different people who seemed to know what they were talking about. And, ultimately it was for my own good, my own growth. And just, now I feel like I can really trust my gut. Hmm. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, it's a little late in this interview for this question, but how did this all start for you?
So like typical starseed, I was born into an incompatible family.
Oh, sounds
So,
familiar.
mhm, I was born into the Marine Corps. My dad was career military, and I mean, my mom and I had a really strong connection, but there, for the most part, I was kind of the odd man out all the time, and I thought about things and perceived things very, very differently. So I grew up thinking there was something wrong with me. Really,
As
like
one does.
yeah, yeah. Way later, so actually before I go to the way later, I did always I was aware of exospecies and stuff like this. I never doubted their existence, and I had a specific affinity for cats, cat people particularly, and
Mm,
I didn't understand that either. Well, of course I do now, but
yeah.
so I kind of had this affinity towards things, and it didn't really make sense. And it wasn't until my later teenage years where I was introduced to spiritual practices outside of the traditional Western mind. So when I was 12, I wanted to be a nun. Wanted to be a
Mm,
nun. My entire family totally made fun of me, like, around that, like, that's the most ridiculous idea ever, especially me being holy, you know what I mean? It was like this whole thing, like, "Wow, what's wrong with you?" You know? And I
yeah.
was like, "This is a hard call, I really wanna know my divinity," and I didn't have the words for it, I was 12.
Mhm,
So, in my teenage years, I was introduced to yoga, meditation, mantras, and a spiritual guru. He wasn't my guru, but my teacher was one of his disciples for decades. And I instantly saw I mean, I appreciated what mantras do and meditation and yoga, the opening of consciousness, but I also immediately saw the power over with the guru thing, and this I mean, there's a lot of I mean, it was really bizarre because I was like, what, 18, and I recognized it immediately, right? So that also, again, I'm the odd man out because everybody else is, like, totally into it, and I had some of my most profound meditative experiences in his presence, absolutely, all this stuff, and he levitated, and he did all these things that supernatural humans do, and everybody's, worshiping this guy, and for me, it's just like, I feel like he's just a real human. Anyway, odd man out again, and then fast forward into I was exploring spirituality, and by that time, I was married and had my first child. The big turning point was right a few months after I had my first child, my mom died. I was with her when she died, and I watched her leave her body and hang out with everybody in the house. So there was a snowstorm that came in all of a sudden out of nowhere, and everybody was snowed in to the house. We had to stay all day at the house waiting for the funeral director to get there to pick her up. And I felt her conversations. She was having conversations with each person, very personal, loving, endearing conversations. And I remember it so clearly. And I also was shocked that I was the only one in that room that saw and that felt those things.
mm,
There was
mm.
one woman that wasn't even part of the family. She was a hospice caretaker. She recognized what was going on and
Oh,
just made
she'd
one.
probably seen it before.
Yeah. So she just said one word, and I knew that she knew what was going on. I was just like, okay, so there's something else happening here that I haven't appreciated. So that really shifted everything in my life, that event. And I started to go into it more. It was funny in my journey. I have an aversion to the things that are the exact things I need to get into. So, and I say this out loud because people need to understand that this often unrolls this way. There's what the
Yeah.
truth that we think is the truth, what we think that we want, and then there's what's actually true and what we actually want. Very different. So I had an aversion to, shamanism for
Mm,
some I mean, you can be into, evangelicalism, you can be into witchcraft, you can be into paganism, you can be into druidry, you can be into anything, but if shamanism, I was not for. And one day I was meditating in my backyard, and a nature spirit came into my field and decided to give me a photographic memory, and along with it, a whole bunch of psychic attack, way like that
oh, jeez.
later. So I was like, "Yo, dude, this is so not cool." And then I realized, okay, the shamanic thing is something that I need to know about. And of course, the two teachers that are the most pivotal teachers came into my world. I said to the universe, I'm ready now. And the two that came in to my field were Barbara Hand Clow with Alchemy,
Oh, yeah.
okay, Alchemy in the Nine Dimensions. Back then, it was still Pleiadian agenda.
Mm,
Um, we practiced that activation process for many years, and then she came out with Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, which is of course amazing, right?
mm.
And the other one was Alberto Violdo, who's the founder
Oh, I'm
of
not familiar.
he's the founder of the 401 Society. Um, a highly respected school for healing the light body and working with different indigenous masters, not just the Kero, which is the main vehicle that they talk about nowadays, but in the beginning there's a lot more jaguar jungle kind of shamanism going on. Anyway, that's how it all started, and then of course the unseen beings participating, the different masters that were coming into my dream time. When I was in my late 30s, a lot of memories got unlocked, which really changed the scenario for me big time. And
Mm.
beings can suppress memories and even recategorize memories, into things that like you think you saw a movie or something like this. And once that got unlocked, that completely shattered my whole paradigm of what I thought I had a clue about. And I really have not been normal ever since.
You were never normal. Come on, Christina.
I know, I
Come
know.
on.
At
What's
least I'm not
normal?
holding myself to that standard. I stopped holding
Yeah.
myself to trying to be normal.
Normal's overrated.
Isn't
Ugh.
it? It is. You're right.
Yeah.
It's totally so. So that's it.
Wow, that's so cool. I love your story. I mean, I feel like you and I have a lot of similarities. My mom actually recently passed away on April Fool's Day, which is very in line with her personality.
Mm,
And we had a very tumultuous, very, very complicated relationship. And since her passing, I have felt so much movement, like so much movement as far as ancestral patterns and kind of projections and just these energies that just would not move beforehand, and
mhm.
like realizations about like family trauma, all sorts of stuff has come up, and so I've been kind of like elbow deep in ancestral shadow work, and it's been really amazing. She came in the night she passed away too, and my dogs all saw it. It was very strange. It was a it was a
Well, it's
strange
cool that
experience.
you can feel the release of this because this is it. And this is why, this is why we do death rites, because when you can actually, in a ceremonial context, release as much trauma and energy you can from the person dying, all of the descendants get liberated from those patterns. So it accelerates each person's awakening by doing those things. I had a
Right.
similar experience with my mom. It's like I felt liberated from a lot of things when she passed.
Oh
I
yeah.
felt like she purposely freed me from family patterns with intent.
Hmm.
So that's very cool. And I'm sorry to hear
Yeah.
that it's only been a little over a year, but I know that kind of stuff lingers.
Really reshaped our relationship, and um I don't know. It's such a different reaction than any other death that I've ever experienced. It's To me, it's more like, oh wow, you're in a different dimension, you're in a different form, and you have a different awareness, and we can work together now. That's really what it feels like.
Oh.
It's liberating, honestly.
So you feel, and I'm saying this back to you, and if I misunderstood, of course, correct me. So you feel that perhaps she's become part of your spiritual entourage for healing and growth.
Maybe. I think we're supposed to work together in the future at some point. I mean, I'm not ready for that at this moment because we've had major boundary issues my entire life. So I'm working on you know, having some boundaries and being like, "No, you can't visit me in dreams every night." Stuff like that. But I'm definitely really open to the idea of working with her in the future. I think I just
Mm,
need some more integration.
hmm. Well, and grief is a real process that humans go through
Yeah.
that really shows us that we don't have control of things, doesn't it? The way Well, if she's showing up in your dreams, there's a reason for it. So it could be just a matter of giving a time and space, like a specific time and space. Like,
Mm.
okay, tonight I am ready for the beginning part, or you know what I mean? Like, really. So rather than just saying, shut up, I'm not ready, or you're not shut up, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
go away, I'm not ready, and then give no alternative time space. right?
Mm.
Because it's an energy that's in a current, and when you block it, it starts to create stagnicity and swirling and stuff like this. So it's completely correct to have a sense of personal space and boundaries as a sovereign being. But we also need to encourage our interconnectedness. So you can say, when I'm ready, when I feel stable, or when I invite you, which I plan to in the next full moon or whatever, we will have the conversation you want to have. That way we can prepare. Stuff like
Yeah.
it's self-respect that we need to do. So this younger generation, and I'm not necessarily meaning you, but this younger generation has a lot of psychological psychobabble. They have a lot of access to that kind of stuff, like, and they expect parents and siblings or whatever to address them like a psychotherapist would, that level
Mm.
of education and experience. And the fact is, you're never going to get that. So what I've seen develop, which is to the detriment of their social circles, is, I call it weaponized boundaries.
Mm.
Weaponized boundaries is when it's dependent on the other being slash person to hold that boundary, when really it's our responsibility and it's our ship to navigate our where we're at in our boundaries. So when
Mm.
we deny, avoid, what's the other word? Deny, avoid, and push away, it's an energy flow that we're pushing away. And that doesn't necessarily serve our best interest. And this goes with Sasquatch communications with all beings, not just humans or
Mm.
deceased loved ones. So there's this understanding that the flow of life is meant to be wind beneath our wings to soar, right? Then we don't need to have that kind of, that kind of relationship to things that we prefer to happen differently or want to, have more whatever. A lot of times it's because we have some kind of injury that it's hitting, and that's what we're trying to protect ourselves from. It's like, ouch, this deep wound, this is heartbreak. I don't want to,
Oh
I don't want
yeah,
this right now. you know. Um,
definitely.
yeah. So we're in the process, as humans, learning what it is to have sovereignty, right? And
Mm.
sovereignty is us. How we feel in navigating we'll say, the river of life in a way where we have things, where we know what we need to do to show up for something. And we know when we're ready to show up and when we know when we're not ready to show up. And we are mature enough and dedicated to our internal process enough to, in that depth of self-respect, to have the willingness to get ourselves ready, or to have the willingness to say, this is going to be sideways right now. Please, I prefer to have dot, 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 and I will meet you later. That way everybody's still getting satisfied. The communication isn't being denied. It's just, let's postpone until it's going to really hit in the way that you want it to hit. You know what I mean? Land in the way that's constructive. Yeah. The mother wounds are the deepest that we have to deal
Oh
with in
my
life.
gosh.
So
Yes.
it's not like this is a frivolous thing. Like, no, this is the deep, deep recesses of wounding you're talking about. And I mean, I say that with laughter, but it's more about bringing levity into something that is really personal for each of
Right.
us.
And I feel that talking about this stuff on the podcast is super important. It's not just like, oh, look at me and, everything that I'm going through. It's like this is stuff that everyone is dealing with on all sorts of different consciousness levels, and hopefully something I say helps somebody sometime. Hopefully something we say together is helps to kind of shift someone's perspective, or even just be like, oh, good, I'm glad somebody else is going through this as well. So,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm. Yes, we need to share. We definitely need to share. This is part of our medicine. For you and for me, this is our medicine.
It's been a big journey looking more into, like, what is my authentic self anyway? Who am I? Like, because I feel like I was on autopilot for a very long time, and that's totally okay. That's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. What is authenticity? What is sovereignty? What are boundaries? What is self-respect? All of
Mhm.
this. They're
Foreign
very big
concepts for
subjects.
most people. Yeah, very foreign. Well, just this workshop that we just did, this intensive we just did, was all about truth and just how powerful it is, and also how difficult it can be to get to. Because there's what we think, and then there's what is. And they
Yeah.
are often not the same thing. And we practice speaking truth, feeling truth. And so when someone says, yes, this is where I'm at with it, this is the truth, it's not. So what my next thing to say to them is, don't tell me. I mean, because they want to tell me all about it, which they can do for the next half hour in a very articulate and entertaining way. But so instead, I was impulsed by the forest to say, okay, well, show me. And that changes the whole dynamic, because now it's like you have to know that you're connected to your truth in order to show that to someone. It's not a
Yeah, how
concept.
do you show that?
Yeah, right? Well, see, that's the practice. It's
Yeah,
powerful.
thank you.
It's liberating. Yes, it's so powerful. There's a lot of artificial things in our lives that keep us disconnected, and one of the biggest things, and I'm just going to give this for your audience so you can have somewhere to start, is time. Time is one of the biggest things that narrows our consciousness and puts us on an inauthentic rhythm where it's really difficult to get in touch with yourself when you are living according to this construct, time. And what I'm talking
Mm,
about is the 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in a day, which actually that's not even true anymore, because science has shown us that the earth is spinning faster. So there's less than 24 hours in a day, and it's getting shorter and shorter. Anyway, side note. But then also the year, the calendar that we go by is also it's off key, it's off rhythm to the natural rhythms. The calendars that embody the celestial cycles, the solar cycles, lunar cycles, those are the ones that actually help anchor you more into your authentic self, your authentic rhythm,
mm,
your own heartbeat, your own beingness. And it seems weird to think to the intellectual mind, but when you're looking at it multidimensionally, it makes total sense to be in sync with the sun, to be in sync with the moon, in sync with the different planets and how they're moving with us, because that now we can see things more clearly because there's no extra step getting put in there making waves. And that's a great place to start. Just make sure you don't have to do anything spectacular. Just make note: the new moon, the full moon, the equinoxes, the solstices. Just make note of that rhythm, and you will start to shift your ability, deepen your ability to connect with your authentic self by simply doing things like that. So
mm. Yeah, I mean, that makes so much more sense to, keep time with the beat of your heart, with your breath,
yeah.
with the sun, and with the moon rather than what your iPhone says, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah,
Exactly.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Wait, there's so much to say on all that.
We could do a part 2. You wanna do a part 2?
Sure. You want to dive deeper into these mysteries? Um,
Absolutely, I'd love to have you on again if you wanna come on.
sure. Well, I would love to opportunity. Well, there's lots to talk about, but talking about time is really, really awakening for people. I would love to do that. Well,
Okay,
anything else too, because
awesome.
you are a very interesting, awoke darling.
Oh, thanks. Oh, boy. I love compliments. I used to
It's more
not
than a
love
compliment.
compliments, but you know
And
what?
it's more than a
Compliments are
compliment,
great.
really. Really, it's an observation.
Um,
We need to connect and support with each other, because the sharing is what moves us forward in our path. Because it's not, I mean, the real work is inside, but how we accelerate it is by sharing.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yes, I mean, it's energy that you're sharing, but also ideas, and so it is like a multidimensional packet of information that you're sharing just by telling a story or just by sharing your thoughts, and it happens all the time. Um,
exactly.
I was wondering, so I don't really know anything about uh, LightBody Academy. I know a little bit about it. I started following you guys on Instagram initially, and then talking, with Brian Bland. He's like, "Hey, I have this really great friend," and I got introduced to Laurel and started talking to her, and now I'm talking to you. But I don't really know much about your. Is it a collective? Is it a co-op? What do you guys do over there?
So it's a vision that was given to
It's a
me
vision.
many years ago. It's about 10 years now that we've been doing this, and the vision is it's a collective, right? So I'm the director, captain of the ship, holder of the initial vision, so to speak. But it's a collective. So there's three other. Now, fast forward 10 years, there's three other facilitators besides me. I
Mm,
work with the primary pillar of Dreamwork, though I do have relationships and communications with other beings, and have wonderful stories for that. But right now I'm really jazzed on getting people empowered through Dreamtime. So that's the Dreamtime Healing Project. And then dear sister Laurel, who you had on, is an extraordinary exospecies communicator. Her connection with the elemental realm is wow, absolutely spectacular. And so she does the Forest Wisdom Circle, and that's a free thing, outreach work, right? That I sent you the link for that, so you can share that
mhm.
with your audience if they're interested. So
Yeah.
so she it well, it's we'll say it's a support group, but it's also initiations involved. And this fall, we're going to be doing another camp out with that kind of initiation work. So if people are interested in that, they can contact us and we can give them more information. And then Stacy, who is an excellent. She's a shamanic tracker, multidimensional tracker. Excellent, excellent work. She does the ancestor work and the death rites.
Mm.
And so we're kind of like, like a Hogwarts, and these are each of our departments, you know? That was how the vision was originally coming. And then we have our dear sister Starshine Ray Ellen, and she's been a spiritual transformative practitioner for many decades, an astrologer for over 50 years, and she has really great a depth and insight to the kinds of celestial cycles that are unfolding in our experience. So,
Mm.
so through the language of astrology, she helps spark cosmic remembrance. Well, we can, there's work individually, which is great, which opens things up. I always encourage getting into group work as soon as you can muster the gumption for that, because it's
Mm.
the we work that's highly accelerated, deeply transformative, and yet still subtle. So it's not like you don't feel like you just got hit by a truck and it takes you a month to recover. It's like subtle, 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 and then 6 months down the road, you realize you've transformed into a completely different person than how you were in the beginning. And uh,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of really crash and burn kind of transformations, and I really appreciate the fact that
Yeah.
it can be subtle and gentle and yet still very powerful. So,
I feel like a lot of the kind of light body activations and stuff like that that I've experienced in the past has been, you know, crazy powerful, and my it's like my body will go offline for a while just because it almost like it gets shocked. It's like, with the solar codes and with different sort of activations that I've had at times,
mm,
it's almost like my body's like, "What the heck is going on here? I want no part of this." And
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it just kind of it's like, "See ya, I gotta go." And, yeah, but I feel like this body consciousness work that I've been delving into is really helpful for being able to integrate these energies that come in, you know?
yes, yes, absolutely. If I can share a story, because there's a dreamscape that expresses something along the lines of what you're talking about. So we collectively dream, and so what was shown. This is reference to you just wanting to, like, you feel like you got burnt out, your body wants to shut down, that kind of thing. Um, So when we first did multidimensional activation work, I did it with Barbara and then later with John Below, and they both had the same kind of experiences, and so did I within their groups. Is that the 4D field is really powerful, and it will shut us down if we go too far out of bounds from what the 4D field dictates as what's possible. So
Hmm.
in the scene with Barbara, she was doing these multidimensional activations, and people were either having explosion fits of rage, leaving all of a sudden for no reason, or passing out. They would just pass out in their chairs, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean, just completely checked out, can't be present. And John Below reported a very similar experience when he wanted to bring online his new version of the Awakened Heart work. And for those of you who don't know who John Below is, he's an old school teacher way back in the day that brought forward and popularized what we call the Flower of Life teachings, and
Mm.
in the Merkaba. So he's grown a lot since then, but the Flower of Life teachings is what's how he originally became very popular. Anyway, and he said that he was trying to do this new version and he couldn't get past the 4D fields because no one would come back after lunch. They all left completely pissed when to finish
Yeah.
the workshop, you know? And then, so it's like, what is the secret? Now, for him, he had a soulmate come into his life and teach him about dancing and softness and love and this kind of thing, and noticing when people are at their edge, getting people softened and opened up. That's how he did it. How Barbara did it is that we had healers stand at the back of the room, and so when you started to lose your shit, so to speak, you would get sent back and they would move the density out of the way so you could be present
Mm.
again.
Right.
So fast forward to the dream, what happened in the dream was that originally the awakening teachings were talked about like we're an egg. We're inside of an egg and we grow, and as we grow, we're chipping out the top of the egg. It's like we're trying to hatch out of the egg, and it's an upwards kind
Right.
of direction. This is a ancient teaching that's been around for many thousands of years. So this is how we've approached it spiritually. But now things have shifted in such a way where it's about cleaning up and breaking out in the center, which is reclaiming that 4D field, reclaiming the 4D field from those mechanisms that shut us down. And that is actually what's happening now. It's like like what you described, it's like we feel checked out, we can't engage in life, our body is like no more, all this stuff.
Yep.
And that's actually the result of the built up resistance that's in that 4D field. So there is a way through it, of course, and it takes practice. But I just want to change the visual for that because I think that'll activate a lot of people to understand that the awakening to our true selves has occurred. Right now, we're just blind to it because of this 4D field and these grids and stuff that have been infiltrating our consciousness. So it's like that's what we need to do. Just claim our mental sovereignty, our emotional sovereignty, and we're there,
Yeah.
which hasn't been the case before. So I feel it's a very special time.
I feel so hopeful for the future. Honestly, I really do. And even I've noticed so much of a change, even just with my own partner. Um, she is changing in ways I never thought I would see. And, other people in my life are, the quality of people that are coming into my life is changing. And I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel this hopefulness for what's next. I know things on the outside look very, kind of sketchy, but, I always get this vision of, like things decaying, but other things growing out of it at the same time. Kind of
Yes, yes.
this.
Like
Yeah.
the dandelion breaking out of the asphalt.
Yes.
Very bad
Yes.
for the asphalt, but great for the dandelion.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, life comes from it can grow in just the most repressed, uh polarity driven situations and environments, I guess. The
Oh,
harshest
goodness.
environments. There's still life. So
Gosh, time just flies, doesn't it?
yeah.
So if you guys are interested in participating or supporting in the kind of work that we do, we have free outreach work, and then of course there's paid things that have much more commitment to them. When it comes to community work, commitment and is really important because you need to have a safe container, like people who are really really serious about showing up and holding that kind of space. So, but to get introduced to the energy and the kind of work we do, we have two outreaches, which is the Wisdom Forest Circle, which I mentioned with Laurel, and
Mhm.
then there's a group energy clearing at the end of each month that Stacy Hernandez does. And that is, she tracks the energy of the group and unravels blind spots, things that keep us blind to what's right in front of us. And you can find out about that by just going onto our website and signing up on our email list, and you'll get those dates and times and stuff. So that's that. LightBodyAcademy.com. Sorry, I didn't even say that. LightBodyAcademy.com. That's what we are.
LightBodyAcademy.com, everybody. Go and check it out. Um, okay, my new friend, Christina Zuppke. That's how you say your name, right?
Yes, upkeep. Mhm.
Okay. I will let you go and we'll get together soon and I will post this video and people will watch it and they'll love it.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
wonderful to sit and chat with you, darling. I'm so glad I feel like I got to know you better. So this is great.
Yeah, I know this is so fun. Free awesome conversations. All I have to do is cold call people and ask them if they want to do it. So it
And
works.
the cool ones say yes.
Okay, my friend, I will let you go. And to everybody who is watching this, thank you for watching and check
Thank
out
you.
Lightbody Academy, please, because these women are amazing. Okay, bye.
Awesome. Bye.